NDTV Hindu.
What is Indian squash all about? Who are the people working behind the scenes to lay the foundation for this sport? And does this sport have enough support to reach greater heights? Well, these are some of the questions that we'll be trying to answer right here on this brand new episode of You Special. And the people who are going to help me try and answer these questions are the players of the Indian squash team themselves. Well, on this special segment, it's not necessarily only the team players who are going to be helping answering these questions. It's also going to be our consultant coach, Major Maniam. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And also our national coach, Cyrus Poncha. Thank you again. And all of you guys as well. Now, the first question I'm going to be asking you, Major, is that what does it take to make it into the Indian squash team?
Essentially, you have to have reached a certain level in the national championships. If you're playing in the junior championships, you have to be top 4 in the junior championships to play in the senior championships. If you are going for trials in junior championships, you have to be top 8. We do have, excuse me, you do have to have selection trials to elect or select players. But more importantly, it is not just selection trials which is used as a basis for selecting players. We have various other components that we look at when selecting players to represent the country. Components like the physiological components, the physical, in other words, fitness, the psychological component, which means how good the players are when it comes to being able to, like a championship like this, where they are able to stand up and fight against better players. If you take Saurav Ghoshal, for example, he played a Mohammad Aslan, a much higher ranked player, but he stood up against him and beat him.
Cyrus, with all your experience, do you have a different take on that at all?
Obviously, to get into the team, as Major said, you've got to be good. And for those who have worked hard over the last few years and in preceding tournaments, that's what it takes. Your performance in tournaments throughout the year, performance in training. Together, we then have to make a decision to select a team.
All right. Now, all of you obviously have gone through a lot to be where you are and to be the people you are today. What are the hurdles that you have crossed, and how has it helped you come to the stage that you have, Saurav?
I think it's just a few things, you just start from the juniors and then go on, make the transition onto the seniors, and I think every player is different and they go through different phases, and you try and win the national championships. Obviously, winning the first nationals is a big stepping stone in your own career, because it kind of gives you the belief to actually do that. And I think we are lucky that, or let's say I'm lucky that I've been in an era where there've been quite a few good players playing by my side, and that's all. The competitions obviously help all of us to grow, not just individually but as a team, and I think that's why the results are showing over the last few years.
Okay, what about you, Rafik?
Well, I think it's just it's a long process, and it's just about really enjoying the game. And I think all the players right now are enjoying the game a lot, and it's growing from strength to strength because of that.
Okay. Now, you have wonderful training modules, I'm sure, quite rigorous ones, really. Is there anything that you would like to personally say that could help improve your own fitness regime, etc.? Would anybody like to point it out, like Deepika, for example?
Well, the thing is that we all have different programs, and we all do different stuff for fitness, and we all have to improve on different areas. It's not just we have one program and everyone's going to follow that. We have different areas. So I think it really differs from person to person about what they have to improve.
Okay. Joshna? Yeah. You seem like the fitness freak, so please go ahead.
Honestly, it's been quite a struggle for me initially. I wasn't the fittest before, and I managed to get in shape, but I still have a long way to go to say that I'm, completely fit at the level of the top 10 players in the world. And again, it's, working on different aspects of getting fit, like weight training, doing your runs and your core training, and playing lots of squash. So for that, I work with different people to help me get to being fit.
Okay. Thank you, Joshna, for that insight. Coming back to you, Major, what is it really what is it really about squash that makes it an expensive sport? And if it isn't, do we need any financial support on the outside at all from the government, possibly?
For a start, squash is not an expensive sport. It depends on what you're looking at. As a player, all you need is a racket and shoes and a ball that will last you perhaps a month or more, and you're ready to play. If you look at badminton, every third game you need a new shuttlecock, and a shuttlecock is more expensive than a ball. So therefore, squash is not an expensive game. But when it comes to getting players to improve their standard, and if you're looking at developing squash players, then you need money. You're not going to become an international level player by just being at home. This is not going to happen. If you look at Australia, they were one of the best squash playing nations in the world before. Today, they are struggling with depth, mainly because Australia is a country that is very far away from the rest of the squash playing world. And the government is not giving them as much support as they used to, and therefore not many players are coming out of Australia. And that is a big struggle for them. So any country who is willing to spend money, send their players abroad for exposure, and expose them like we've done with some of our players, to international level players, players of the level that you're trying to achieve, it's going to help you develop your game. And in order to do that, you need money.
Okay. Now, I'd like to move over to Anaka, actually. Since you're the young one among us here, where did you start off, actually? What was your inspiration? We'd really like to know.
I started sports when I was 6 years old. I used to play tennis. And then I shifted to squash when I was 9. Actually, my inspiration was my dad in the beginning. And then when I joined squash and I started doing well, there were like lots of people, like my coaches, who helped me a lot. So I think my parents and my coaches are my inspiration.
All right. Well, we're going to end this segment of You Special on that note. But on the other side, we're definitely going to focus on who exactly is the backbone of Indian squash at this point. Do stay tuned.